Welcome to Level Up Mechanics. My name is Chris, and in today's video we're going to be upgrading the front brakes on the 3rd gen Toyota Tacoma. We'll be installing some front cross-drilled and slotted brake rotors and ceramic brake pads from R1 Concepts. These items can be purchased both off their website and off of Amazon, so I'll make sure to provide a link in the description below. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the install. So the first step, we're going to remove the wheels. In order to do that, we need to loosen the lug nuts and then lift the truck and secure it onto some jack stands, at which point we'll remove the lug nuts and remove the wheel. Alright, so now that the wheels are off, the next step is going to be removing the brake pads from the brake caliper. In order to do this, we're going to need to pull out the top pin and the bottom pin, and in addition, we're going to have to take out this retaining spring right here and this other retaining spring right here. You're going to want to use a small flathead screwdriver or a small pry bar, and you're going to go between the pad and the rotor just to get some, bite the lip of the rotor, get some leverage. Push the pad out towards you on this side. This also helps to press in the caliper pistons when you're installing new pads. So now that we've removed the pads, now we need to press the caliper pistons in place to make room for the new brake pads, since the brake pad friction material is going to be brand new and much thicker than the old ones that came out. So in order to press the caliper pistons back into place, you can use a flathead screwdriver, or in my case I'm using a small pry bar. And what you want to do, you're going to want to very slowly just press on the metal piston. Don't press on the rubber dust boot. You don't want to split it, because then water and dust can get in over time and cause corrosion, which can cause the pistons to seize. So make sure that when you're pressing the pistons in, just press on the metal of the piston lip and don't touch the dust boot. But here, we're going to go ahead and slowly press in. Now if you do it too fast, you'll notice that the other piston on the same side will start to press out. That's because of the brake fluid that is inside the caliper is trying to follow the path of least resistance. So if you push too fast, the path will be just to the next piston, but if you press nice and slowly, that hydraulic pressure will find its way back up to the master cylinder. You may have to go back and forth a couple of times in order to push those pistons in. Then we're going to do the same process on the outer pistons. The next step is going to be to remove the brake caliper from the front suspension. In order to do that, there's going to be two 17mm bolts on the back side where the caliper meets the knuckle. So you'll want to remove the two 17mm bolts, and then you're going to want to remove this 10mm bolt back here. This holds the wheel speed sensor line to the bracket that holds the brake line. Once that's removed, you'll remove this 12mm bolt that holds the brake line bracket to the front suspension. Now that the caliper is off, the next step is going to be to remove the brake rotor from the wheel hub and bearing assembly. Now, most often than not, your brake rotor is going to be rusted around the wheel hub, and there is a trick that will be able to get the rotor off really quickly without any problems. What you're going to want to do is to use a bolt that has the same thread pattern as this hole that you see on the cap or the face of the rotor. I believe this one is like a 1.25 threaded pitch. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our bolt and run it into the threads, and this is essentially going to press the rotor off of the hub assembly. And this is just to help when your rotor is sort of rusted around the wheel hub. See how easy that was? Super quick. Saves you a whole lot of time of beating on the rotor and when it's rusted around the hub. So let's take a look at the OEM parts versus the upgraded brake parts that I purchased from R1 Concepts. These are the OEM rotors right here. You can obviously see they're in decent shape and they can definitely be machined to get longer life out of them, but there is some definite rust going on that is just a normal condition for pretty much all brake parts over time due to heat and moisture. These are the cross-drilled and slotted rotors that I purchased from R1 Concepts. You can find these products off of Amazon as well. I went ahead and purchased the cross-drilled and slotted rotors for the front brakes on my Toyota Tacoma. These rotors have a black finish to them, and the surface of the rotor where the pad comes in contact with the rotor, that surface, the black coating will disappear. However, everything else that the pads don't touch will have that black finish still on it to help protect the rotor from corrosion and rust build up over a longer period of time. Another great thing about these rotors is the little slots or slits that you have on the rotors. They are actually designed to be machined to where when you don't see these slits anymore from normal wear and tear over a long period of time, that means you've reached the minimum thickness of the brake rotor and that it's time to replace the brake rotor as a result. So that's one item that's really cool about these rotors, is the fact that they have these normal type wear indicators to let you know when it's time to replace your rotors because the minimum thickness has been reached. Not only that, but the cross-drilled holes and the slotted lines also help reduce brake fade. And then in addition, we also have some ceramic brake pads from R1 Concepts. The great thing about ceramic pads is that they keep brake squeaks and brake noises to a minimum, more so than other friction materials, and they have the ability to not create an excessive amount of brake dust. So ceramic pads are very quiet, they make minimal amounts of brake dust, and are really a great option to have for daily driving. And then also I purchased a brake hardware kit. It comes with new caliper pad locking pins, new springs and locking tabs, to replace your old brake hardware. One thing I wanted to mention before we continue is that these cross-drilled and slotted rotors are directional. So when you purchase these rotors, you're going to get a left and a right side, and this can be found out by just looking at the part number on the box. The R at the end of the part number indicates that this is for the right side, and then you'll have another box that has an L at the end of the part number, which indicates that it's for the left side. So just make sure you don't mix these up and install them in the correct location. Alright, now that these rotors and pads are installed, I'm going to go ahead and put the wheels back on the vehicle and take it for a quick test drive to break in the rotors and pads, at which point we can go ahead and take a look and see what this all looks like fully assembled. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, as 2021 will hopefully be the year of 1,000 subscribers. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.